That night, between the clink of cheap wine glasses and tinny country music, my full-ride scholarship acceptance letter was torn to pieces right on the party table. Mom smiled, saying, "Stop dreaming." Dad stood silent as always, and my cousin aunt, who'd lived her whole life on jealousy, cackled, "Dreams over." I didn't cry. I picked up each paper fragment, slipped them into my jacket pocket, and silently counted down 30 days to turn the next family gathering into a funeral for their lies. My name is Elena Hart, and I learned long ago that family can be your worst enemy dressed in Sunday clothes and sweet smiles. The 40th anniversary party sprawled across my parents' backyard like every other Hart family gathering string lights sagging between posts, smoke from Walter's prized Weber grill hazing the mountain view, and Linda's potato salad wilting under the Colorado sun. May, my 9-year-old daughter, chased fireflies near the fence while relatives clustered around folding tables, their laughter sharp as broken glass. I'd waited 3 weeks to share my news. 3 weeks of checking my phone every morning, rereading the email from Red River State University until the words burned into my retinas. Full scholarship, master's in social work, a chance to move beyond my technician role at North Pine Wellness and actually help kids like May navigate their trauma instead of just documenting it on charts. "Elena, honey, come help with the cake," Mom called from the kitchen door, her voice honeyed with false cheer that always preceded something awful. I patted my jacket pocket where the letter rested, official letterhead, raised seal, my future in cream-colored paper, and walked toward the house. Through the screen door, I saw Aunt Valerie already there, her fresh highlights catching the overhead light, designer purse occupying the entire counter like conquered territory. "There she is," Valerie said, not looking up from her phone. "Still driving that ancient Honda. Still works fine." I pulled the letter out slowly, smoothing its edges. "Actually, I have some news." Mom snatched it before I could finish, her reading glasses materializing from nowhere. The kitchen went quiet except for the electric beater still whirring in the corner. Dad appeared in the doorway, beer in hand, already shrinking into himself. "Graduate school." Mom's voice pitched high. "Elena, you're 34 years old with a child. This is ridiculous." "It's fully funded. Everything. Tuition, books, even a living stipend." "Women need stability," she interrupted, waving the letter like evidence of a crime. "Real women focus on steady hours and raising their children, not chasing fantasies." Valerie grabbed the letter, scanning it with predatory efficiency. "Red River State. That's barely accredited. And social work." She laughed, the sound like ice cracking. "You want to leave a decent job to become what? A glorified babysitter with debt. I just told you it's fully funded." But Valerie was already tearing. The sound split the air clean, deliberate rips, once down the middle, again, confetti-sized pieces floating to the linoleum like snow. "Dreams over." She announced it to the room, to the relatives now pressing against the screen door, phones already recording. "Someone had to give you a reality check." Mom nodded, satisfaction settling into the lines around her mouth. "She's right. Honey, this saves you from making a terrible mistake." Dad studied his beer label like it contained scripture. I knelt, gathering each piece with methodical calm. The kitchen camera, the one Dad installed after last year's break-ins, blinked red in the corner. 3 cousins filmed through the window. Even May's babysitter had her phone out by the dessert table. "You're embarrassing yourself," Mom hissed. But I kept collecting, filling my pockets with my destroyed future. "The embarrassment," I said quietly, standing with paper fragments pressed against my chest, "hasn't even started." Valerie's laugh followed me out. Mom called after me about cutting the cake. Dad said nothing, would always say nothing, his silence as familiar as my own heartbeat. I found May by the garden, showing her caught firefly to another kid. "Mom, look, if you hold them just right, they still glow even when they're scared." "That's right, baby." I kissed her forehead, tasting summer and innocence. "They save their light for when it matters most." 30 days. I gave myself 30 days to plan, to document, to build something from these broken pieces that would burn their careful, cruel world to ash. The doorbell camera caught me smiling as I walked back to the party, already composing emails in my head, already seeing Valerie's face when she learned that some dreams don't die, they just get sharper when you try to tear them apart. The party continued around me, oblivious. Mom served her dry chocolate cake. Valerie held court about her new position that I knew was just part-time reception work. Dad grilled another round of burgers nobody wanted, and I smiled, smiled, each fragment of paper in my pocket a promise, a weapon, a match waiting to be struck. The history of hurt in the Hart family ran deeper than the Colorado River, carved through years of small cruelties disguised as love. I was 17 when Valerie first showed me who she really was. Prom night, 2008. I'd saved for months working at the mall food court, buying a silver dress from the clearance rack that made me feel like someone worth looking at. Valerie, 25 and between boyfriends, offered to do my makeup. Family helps family, she'd said, Mom beaming at this show of cousin-aunt bonding. She used the wrong foundation 3 shades too dark. The mascara she applied ran within minutes. When my date arrived and saw me, his face fell like watching hope die in real time. The photos from that night still existed somewhere in Mom's albums me, looking like a tragic clown while Valerie stood beside me, perfect in her borrowed role as caring adult, her smile sharp as the pins she'd used to style my hair too tight. "You're too sensitive," Mom said when I cried in the bathroom later. Valerie was trying to help. Family doesn't mean harm, but family did mean harm. It meant the college fund $12,000 saved from Dad's overtime and my after-school jobs drained mysteriously the week before tuition was due. Mom's explanation came with practiced tears. Valerie needed help with her bills. Family comes first. You can take out loans like everyone else. It meant my acceptance letter to Colorado State vanishing from the mailbox, only discovered months later hidden in Mom's recipe box. "You weren't ready," she explained. "Valerie said community college would suit you better." It meant my wedding to Evan imploding after Valerie whispered poison at every family gathering how I'd gained weight, how I'd neglected him, how she'd seen me laughing with a coworker at lunch. Never mind that the coworker was 63 and talking about his grandchildren. Never mind that Evan had already been texting his ex for months. Valerie's stories gave him the excuse he needed, and Mom backed every word. If multiple people see smoke, there's usually fire. After the divorce, I rebuilt alone. May was 3, asking for Daddy every night while I worked double shifts at North Pine Wellness, learning to document trauma in clinical terms while living it in intimate detail. No help from family. Mom claimed they couldn't afford it while simultaneously posting photos from Valerie's Vegas weekend, funded by the Emergency Family Support Fund I'd been denied access to. The fund. God, the fund. 20 years of every Hart adult contributing, supposedly for medical emergencies and education. I'd put in $300 monthly for 5 years straight, even when May and I ate ramen 4 nights a week. Investment in family security, Dad called it, though he never looked me in the eye when the statements came. I learned the truth accidentally, finding receipts in Mom's purse while looking for Advil last Christmas designer handbags for Valerie, a new laptop, spa treatments, weekend trips, all labeled family emergency expenses in Mom's careful handwriting. When I confronted her privately, she'd turned cold. Valerie manages the fund now. She decides what constitutes need. And her needs are designer purses. Her mental health requires certain comforts. Don't be selfish. Elena, your father agrees with me. My father agreed with everything by saying nothing. 30 years of marriage had taught him that silence was safer than truth. He'd perfected the art of disappearing while present newspapers, garage projects, mysterious errands whenever voices rose. I'd inherited his dark eyes and strong hands but refused to inherit his cowardice. The scholarship letter had been my secret escape route. 3 years of night classes, hidden transcripts, application fees paid from tips I never reported. I'd even used May's babysitter's address for correspondence. knowing Mom went through my mail with religious dedication. Now, those torn pieces sat on my kitchen table, arranged like evidence at a crime scene. May slept upstairs, still clutching the mason jar with her firefly, unaware that the family who smiled at her over birthday cake had just tried to clip her mother's wings again. Valerie had texted 6 times since the party. Drama queen much. You know Mom's right. Focus on what you have instead of wanting more. Some people aren't meant for college. BTW, I'm getting promoted to full office manager. Real stability. Family meeting next month. Try not to embarrass yourself again. The last one made me smile. Next month's meeting. Mom's birthday celebration. Valerie's promotional party rolled into one. The entire Hart clan gathered to worship at the altar of mediocrity and spite. They thought they'd torn up my dreams. They didn't understand I'd been building something stronger than paper. Every slight, every stolen opportunity, every moment of Dad's silence and Mom's betrayal, I'd been documenting it all. 30 days to show them that family doesn't always come first. Sometimes, family comes last. The torn pieces lay on my kitchen table like a jigsaw puzzle of revenge. 3:47 a.m. May asleep upstairs. House quiet except for the scanner humming as it captured each fragment. I'd learned precision from my work at North Pine Wellness. Every incident report had to be bulletproof. Every documentation able to withstand legal scrutiny. Those skills would serve me now. First, reconstruction, clear tape, patience, and a steady hand. The letterhead came together slowly. Red River State University's seal reforming like watching a wound heal in reverse. Each word returning pleased to offer. Full scholarship. Exceptional candidate. The tears had been strategic. Valerie always was straight lines that suggested premeditation rather than impulse. The scanner captured it all. Then my phone camera. Multiple angles with timestamps. I uploaded everything to 3 separate cloud services. Emailed copies to a new account Mom didn't know about. The metadata would prove crucial date, time, location embedded in every file. At 6:15 a.m., I called Red River State's admissions office, leaving a detailed voicemail for Director Catherine Morse. By 8:30, she'd called back personally. Ms. Hart, I'm reviewing your file now. Your acceptance and scholarship remain valid, of course. No family member has the authority to decline on your behalf. Her voice carried professional concern. You mentioned the letter was destroyed. At a family gathering. I have video evidence and witnesses. A pause. Would you like us to send a replacement letter? Perhaps to a different address. Actually, I need something more. Official letterhead stating that destruction of university correspondence doesn't invalidate the offer. And confirmation that attempting to interfere with educational opportunities could be considered fraud. I'll have our legal department draft something immediately. Next call Marisol Vega, the lawyer who'd handled my divorce and understood family warfare. Her office opened at 9 sharp. Destruction of property. Definitely, she said after I'd explained. But there's more here. The scholarship has monetary value. Full tuition plus stipend equals roughly $60,000 over 2 years. Destroying documentation of that could be considered interference with economic advantage. What about the pattern of behavior? Document everything. Colorado's harassment statutes include patterns of conduct intended to cause emotional distress. The fund misappropriation is separate possible fraud, breach of fiduciary duty. Get me bank records if you can. Dr. Layton from May's school was my next stop. I'd called ahead, explaining I needed documentation of potential impact on my daughter. His office smelled like coffee and crayons, walls covered in children's artwork about feelings. May's mentioned family tensions, he said carefully. She drew this last week. The picture showed stick figures at a table, one small figure holding hands with a taller one while other figures pointed and frowned, dark scribbles above the pointing figures' heads. She said these are the mean words floating around, very perceptive for 9. Witnessing parental humiliation, especially from supposed support systems, can impact trust formation and self-worth. He wrote an assessment on official letterhead. noting May's anxiety markers and recommending environmental stability and protection from hostile family dynamics. Back home, I accessed the doorbell camera footage through Dad's account. He'd never changed the password from May's birthday. The video was crystal clear. Valerie tearing the letter, her dreams over declaration. Mom's satisfied nod. I downloaded everything, created backups, trimmed clips to the essential moments. Then, the tedious hunt through social media. 17 family members had been at the party. 12 had posted. 3 had video from different angles. I screen recorded everything, saving profiles and timestamps. Cousin Rachel had even captioned hers, Aunt Valerie keeping it real, Jocker family drama. Truth hurts. Perfect. She'd labeled it as deliberate harm, not help. My phone buzzed. Mom, stop being dramatic. Come for dinner Sunday. We need to discuss your priorities. I responded, priorities clear. See you at next month's party. Don't make threats, Elena. No threats. Promises. The next 2 hours I spent creating a timeline, a document that would make any prosecutor weep with joy. 20 years condensed into bullet points, 2008, prom sabotage photos attached, 2009, college fund drained bank statements pending, 2010, hidden acceptance letter photo of letter in recipe box, 2015, 2019, marriage interference text records, Valerie's messages to Evan, 2020-2024, fund misappropriation receipts collected 2024, scholarship destruction video evidence from multiple sources. Each entry included evidence type, witnesses, and impact assessment. Cold facts that stripped away the veneer of family just being family. May came downstairs at noon, still in pajamas, Firefly jar empty. I let him go, she said. He flew straight up like a little rocket. That's what they do when they're free, baby. She studied my face with those 2 wise eyes. Are we going to be free too? I pulled her close, inhaling her strawberry shampoo smell. 28 days, sweetheart. 28 more days. The documentation was just beginning. But like reconstructing that letter piece by piece, I was rebuilding our future from the fragments of their cruelty. Every screenshot, every recording, every official statement evidence that would transform their family meeting into a courtroom of public opinion. They'd torn up paper. I was building a case. Following money always reveals truth. Valerie's trail was easier to track than she'd imagined. Narcissists never think to cover their tracks. Sunspur Kids Studio sat in a strip mall between a nail salon and a tax office, its windows plastered with construction paper suns and handprints. I'd called ahead, pretending to be interested in after-school programs for May. Miss Valerie is wonderful, the receptionist gushed. She teaches our Tuesday-Thursday enrichment program, though, she lowered her voice. We're not taking new enrollments for her classes right now. Some scheduling issues. I probed gently, playing concerned parent. Within minutes, I had the story. Valerie had been collecting payments directly, forgetting to log them in the system. 3 families were owed refunds. She had no teaching certification, just a 2-day online course certificate she'd printed at home. Management's handling it, the receptionist whispered. But between you and me, I'd try Miss Janet's class instead. My next stop was uglier. The family fund records lived in Mom's home office, a converted bedroom she kept locked. But she'd given me a key years ago, for emergencies, never imagining I'd use it for this. 2:23 p.m. on a Wednesday. Mom at her book club, Dad at the hardware store. I had maybe an hour. The filing cabinet was organized with Mom's typical precision. Tax returns, insurance documents, and there a folder labeled Family Investment Fund in her perfect cursive. The numbers made my stomach turn. Initial contributors 8 family members, each paying $200 to $500 monthly. Total fund value should have been over $300,000 after 15 years. Current balance $42,000. The withdrawals told a story of systematic theft. Emergency support, VH. $4,500 matching the date of Valerie's Vegas trip. Educational assistance, VH. $8,000 when Valerie bought her BMW down payment, Medical wellness, VH, $3,200 her spa retreat in Aspen. Family crisis management, $15,000 the month after Valerie's DUI, which was mysteriously expunged. My contributions alone totaled $36,000 over 5 years. I'd received exactly zero in return. My requests for May's dental surgery denied as non-essential. I photographed every page, every receipt, every bank statement. Then I found the smoking gun a joint account. Mom and Valerie as co-signers, labeled Fund Administration. They'd been skimming 30% of every contribution as management fees. The garage door rumbled. Dad was home early. I stayed frozen, listening to his footsteps in the kitchen, the fridge opening, a beer cracking, then his heavy tread toward the office. He found me at the desk, papers spread like evidence at a crime scene. Elena. Not a question, just resignation. You knew. He sat heavily in Mom's reading chair, looking older than his 63 years. I suspected. Suspecting and knowing are choices. Dad, you chose comfortable ignorance while they stole from everyone. Your mother, she's always taken care of things. She's taken care of Valerie. There's a difference. He rubbed his face, a gesture I remembered from every family conflict he'd avoided. What do you want me to say? That I'm weak, that I chose peace over truth? Fine, I'm weak. I want you to choose a side, for once in your life. If I do that, this family explodes. I laughed, bitter as black coffee. This family is already destroyed. You're just preserving the corpse. We sat in silence, the air conditioner humming, afternoon light slanting through Mom's lace curtains. Finally, he spoke. The party next month. You're planning something. Yes. It'll destroy your mother. She destroyed me first, repeatedly. He stood, walked to the doorway, then turned back. The camera system records to the cloud. Your mother doesn't know that. The password is May's middle name and birthday. A pause. There's also a recorder in the kitchen junk drawer. Voice activated. Your mother uses it for grocery lists. He left me there with the evidence, his footsteps fading toward his garage workshop, his sanctuary of silence. That evening, I met with a forensic accountant, Sandra Liu, recommended by Marisol. This is embezzlement, she said flatly, reviewing my photographs. The fund was presented as communal support, but it's been operated as a personal piggy bank. The IRS would be very interested in whether taxes were paid on these management fees. Can you create a full analysis? Give me a week. I'll trace every dollar. Create visualizations that will make this crystal clear to anyone watching. Valerie texted that night. Heard you visited Sunspur. Stay away from my work. I responded, public business. By the way, does the IRS know about your cash payments? 3 dots appeared and disappeared 5 times before she replied, You wouldn't dare. 22 days until Mom's party. We'll see what I dare. Mom called immediately, Valerie obviously having sounded the alarm. Elena Marie Hart, you will not threaten this family's stability. Stability, is that what you call theft? It's called taking care of each other. Valerie needed help. With her BMW, her Vegas trips, her spa treatments, silence. Then, cold as winter. You've been in my office. The family fund should be family property. If you pursue this vindictive path, you'll lose more than you gain. I've already lost everything you could take. Now I'm just returning the favor. I hung up, turned off my phone, and sat with May as she did homework, her concentration absolute, pencil scratching against paper like she was writing her own future. The money trail was clear now, a map of favoritism, fraud, and betrayal wearing the mask of family loyalty. Every receipt a nail in the coffin of their charade. 22 days left to build the pyre that would burn their paper empire down. The party invitation arrived wrapped in Mom's typical manipulation gold cardstock, embossed letters. Celebrating family milestones, Linda's 65th and Valerie's new career chapter. The date circled in red ink with a handwritten note. Your attendance is expected. Mom. Perfect. They'd set the stage themselves. I studied the invitation like a battle plan. 7 p.m. start time. Their house. Cocktail attire requested. Approximately 40 guests expected the full Hart clan plus Mom's book club, Dad's poker buddies, and Valerie's collection of enablers she called friends. Time to prepare the show. First, the technology. I contacted TechRite Event Services under my college roommate's name, requesting their premium presentation package for a family event. We'll need a projection screen, wireless mic system, and your best compact projector. I told the sales rep. Something that can display from a phone or laptop. Planning a surprise slideshow. We do a lot of anniversary parties. Something like that. Can your team set up and leave? We'll handle the operation. Sure. We can arrive at 5:30. Be gone by 6:45. Next, securing my evidence presentation. Sandra Liu had completed the forensic accounting charts showing the funds hemorrhaging. Valerie's name like a cancer on every suspicious transaction. I converted everything to a sleek slideshow, adding the doorbell footage, screenshots of texts, the torn letter reconstruction, 28 slides of documented destruction. The official letters were my ace cards. Red River State had sent 3 separate confirmations. My scholarship remained intact. The destruction of documents was noted in my file, and they'd support any legal action I chose to pursue. Dr. Layton had provided May's psychological assessment. Marisol had prepared cease and desist letters, ready to serve. But I needed witnesses beyond family. Time for strategic invitations. Mrs. Patterson, whose daughter Valerie had tutored at Sunspur before the payments disappeared, I called her directly. I understand there were some issues with payment at Sunspur. Her voice went sharp. That woman owes me $600. Said the studio lost the records, but I have the canceled checks. There's a family gathering on the 15th. Valerie will be there. If you happened to stop by around 7:30, I'll bring my receipts. Mr. Gonzalez, who'd hired Valerie for his home daycare before she was quietly let go, he was even easier. She claimed she had early childhood certification. Cost me my license renewal when the state found out. Would you like an opportunity to address this with her family present? Send me the details. I created a digital invitation, disguised as a community celebration from Mom's book club email password, saved on the home computer, Book Lover, 1959, sent to 12 carefully chosen recipients, people Valerie had burned, parents from Sunspur, even a reporter from the Boulder Ridge Gazette who covered local interest stories. Special program begins at 7:45, light refreshments. Don't miss this revealing evening. The coup de grace hiring Marcus, a DJ from Denver who specialized in experience events. I need someone who can run AV equipment and keep cool when things get intense, I explained. You planning a roast or something? More like an exposé. Sounds fun. I did a wedding once where the bride exposed the groom's affair via slideshow. Epic. I'm in 2 weeks before the party. I visited the house during Mom's grocery run, tested the projection wall, checked sight lines, timed how long it took to dim the lights from the switch. The family photos covering the wall would make the perfect ironic backdrop, all those fake smiles about to be illuminated with truth. May noticed my preparations. Smart girl that she was. You're planning something big. Yes, baby. Will it make them stop being mean to you? I knelt to her level. It'll make them stop being able to hurt us. That's better than them being nice. She nodded solemnly. Can I help? You already are. Just by being yourself. 3 days before the party, Valerie texted frantically. Mom says you RSVP'd yes. Don't ruin this for me. Wouldn't dream of it. This is your big celebration, right? I mean it. Elena, I'm getting promoted to full office manager. This is important. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. Then I remembered May crying after the last family dinner when Valerie told her, smart girls don't need their mommies to go back to school. The morning of the party, I confirmed everything. TechRite would set up the equipment. Marcus would arrive at 6:45 as a birthday surprise DJ, hired by a family friend. The digital invitations had been opened by all 12 recipients. Mrs. Patterson had recruited 2 other parents. I dressed carefully the black cocktail dress I'd bought for my scholarship interview, the one Mom had called too ambitious. May wore her favorite purple dress, the one with pockets. "Remember," I told her as we got in the car, "when things get loud tonight, you can go to Grandpa's workshop. He'll have his headphones there." "What about you?" "I'll be fine, sweetheart. Sometimes the truth has to be loud to be heard." We drove toward the mountains, toward the house where I'd learned that family could cut deeper than strangers, where silence was currency and cruelty was called love. 7 hours until showtime. 7 hours until the screen lit up with their sins. 7 hours until Dreams Over became Valerie's epitaph instead of mine. The invitation might have said celebrating family milestones, but tonight was about endings, not beginnings. Tonight, the Hart family would learn that some dreams don't die, they just wait for the perfect moment to destroy the people who tried to kill them. 3 days before the party, Mom appeared at my door at 9:15 p.m. unannounced. May was already asleep. Mom wore her negotiation outfit, pearl earrings, pressed blazer, the face she used for difficult conversations with Dad's family. "We need to talk." She pushed past me into the living room, surveying my modest space with practiced disdain. Alone. I made coffee I didn't want, buying time to steady my nerves. She sat on my second-hand couch like it might stain her skirt. "I know what you're planning," she began. "Do you?" "You've always been vindictive. Elena, even as a child. Remember when you told your teacher I hit you? You did hit me. A spanking, normal discipline, but you had to make it dramatic, didn't you? Just like now?" The coffee maker gurgled. I stayed silent, letting her reveal her hand. "Valerie told me about your harassment, showing up at her work, making threats about the IRS. Mom's fingers twisted her wedding ring, the only tell she'd never conquered. "This jealousy has to stop." "Jealousy," I laughed, "surprising us both." Of what? Her theft, her lies, her part-time job she's inflating into a career. She's getting promoted to office manager. She's getting moved to full-time reception because they can't legally fire her without risking a lawsuit. I talked to her supervisor. Mom's face flushed. "You had no right, and you had no right to steal $36,000 of my contributions while denying May's surgery." Silence stretched between us, taut as piano wire. Finally, Mom shifted tactics, her voice softening. "Elena, sweetheart, I understand you're struggling. Being a single mother is hard. That's why I want to help." She pulled out her checkbook, writing with deliberate strokes. $20,000, right now. Enough to make life easier. Take a vacation. Buy May nice things. She slid the check across my coffee table. My name, her signature. More money than I'd seen at once since my divorce. "All you have to do," she continued, "is skip the party and forget this nonsense about the fund." I picked up the check, studying it. "This is from the family fund, isn't it? You're trying to buy my silence with my own money." "It's a gift from a mother who loves you." "Love." I tasted the word like spoiled milk. "Is that what you call it? I've protected you your whole life. From your own worst impulses, your unrealistic dreams. Do you know what people would say if you got that degree, Linda's daughter, 34 and back in school like a child? It would reflect on all of us." There it is. The truth. This isn't about me at all. It's about your image. She stood, smoothing her skirt. "Take the check or don't. But if you come to that party with your little vendetta, you'll lose more than money. You'll lose your family." "I lost my family the day you chose Valerie over me. Every single time." "Valerie needs support. She doesn't have your advantages." My advantages being ignored, having my future destroyed, watching you fund her lifestyle while I worked doubles to feed my daughter. Mom walked to the door, then turned back with surgical precision. "Your father told me you were in my office. Theft runs in families, apparently, but only one of us is smart enough not to get caught. We'll see about that." She left, her heels clicking down my walkway like a countdown. The check sat on my table, temptation in paper form. My phone buzzed. Valerie, Mom says you're being reasonable. Finally growing up. Then another text from Dad. Your mother's scared. That's why she came. Stay strong. I photographed the check evidence of attempted bribery, then tore it into precise pieces, arranging them on my scanner. Another document for the collection. Another slide for the presentation. May appeared in the hallway, rubbing sleepy eyes. Was that Grandma? Yes, baby. Why does she always look angry when she smiles? Because she's forgotten how to do either one for real. I tucked May back into bed, then returned to my laptop. The presentation needed one final addition, the recording from Mom's kitchen junk drawer, thoughtfully provided by Dad. 3 separate conversations where Mom and Valerie discussed managing the fund, keeping Elena in her place, and making sure she never gets ambitious again. The last recording was from the night they destroyed my letter. Valerie's voice, wine-slurred. She actually thought she'd escape us. Mom's response, family doesn't escape. They submit or suffer. I added the audio file to slide 23, right before the financial fraud documentation. 3 more days. 72 hours until Mom learned that sometimes the child you try to break becomes the hammer that shatters your carefully constructed world. The check fragments went into an envelope labeled Evidence of Bribery. Tomorrow, I'd have Marisol document the attempted payoff officially. $20,000 to buy my silence. They were about to learn my voice was worth infinitely more than that. The house glowed with string lights and fake harmony. 7:22 p.m. And the Hart family party was in full performance, Mom holding court near the kitchen, Valerie preening by the makeshift bar, Dad invisible somewhere between the grill and his workshop. May and I arrived precisely at 7:15, late enough to avoid setup, early enough to witness everything. The projection equipment stood ready against the far wall, covered with a tablecloth, dismissed by everyone as part of the surprise DJ setup that Marcus was adjusting. Elena. Mom's voice carried across the yard, sweet as antifreeze. You came. Wouldn't miss Valerie's big celebration, I said, accepting her air kiss while noting the crowd, 38 people so far, including Mrs. de Patterson by the dessert table and Mr. Gonzalez near the door. Valerie strutted over in a new dress, price tag carefully removed but the fold lines still visible. Surprised you could afford a babysitter, she said, not seeing May beside me. I'm right here, May said flatly, and several relatives laughed uncomfortably. The first hour crawled by in performed normalcy. Mom gave a speech about family milestones. Valerie humble-bragged about her executive position, and Dad managed 3 words, proud of everyone. At 8:10, the extra guests began arriving, the parents from Sunspur, the reporter with her subtle recorder, even Valerie's former supervisor who'd received an anonymous tip about tonight's announcement. Mom noticed the swelling crowd, her smile tightening. I don't remember inviting. The lights dimmed. Marcus's voice boomed through the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a special presentation celebrating the Hart family legacy. The projector blazed to life. The first slide, a photo of the torn letter pieces, arranged like a murder scene. What is this? Mom hissed, but I was already at the microphone. Good evening, family. My voice carried clean and sharp through the yard. Since we're celebrating milestones, I thought we should be complete. This, I clicked to the reconstructed letter, is my full scholarship acceptance to Red River State University. The one Aunt Valerie destroyed 3 weeks ago while saying, "Dream's over." Click. The doorbell footage played Valerie's hands tearing, her cackling laugh, Mom's approving nod. Gasps rippled through the crowd. But that's not where our family story begins. Click. Timeline of systematic sabotage prom photos, hidden college acceptance, drained college fund, each with documentation, dates, evidence. Valerie lunged for the projector, but Marcus smoothly blocked her. Ma'am, please don't touch the equipment. Click. Sandra Liu's forensic accounting spread across the screen $300,000 down to $42,000. Valerie's name hemorrhaging money like an open wound. The family fund, I announced, was meant for everyone's emergencies and education. Instead, it became Valerie's personal shopping account, managed by my mother. Mrs. Patterson stood up. $600. She owes me $600. Mr. Gonzalez added. She lied about certifications. Cost me my license. Mom tried to speak, but the next slide killed her words, the audio waveform of her recorded conversation. Her own voice filled the yard. Family doesn't escape. They submit or suffer. Click. The attempted bribery check. Torn and documented. Click. Valerie's actual job description from Sunspur, part-time receptionist on probation for financial irregularities. Turn it off, Valerie shrieked, but more slides kept coming. Text messages, receipts, the family fund being used for Vegas trips while I was denied help for May's surgery. The reporter stepped forward. Ms. Hart, are you alleging financial fraud? I'm presenting documented evidence, I replied. The authorities can determine what to call it. Mom grabbed the microphone, her face mottled with rage. This is a family matter. No. I cut her off, taking the mic back. This was a crime syndicate wearing the mask of family. Click. The final slide official letters from Red River State confirming my scholarship remained valid. Dr. Layton's assessment of May's trauma, and Marisol's cease and desist orders. I start graduate school in January, I announced. Anyone who attempts to interfere will face legal action. The family fund will be audited. And Valerie, I looked directly at her, seeing tears ruining her fresh makeup. Your dream of controlling me. That's what's over. Dad emerged from wherever he'd been hiding, walked straight to me, and did something he'd never done in 34 years. He took a stand. She's right, he said quietly into the microphone. I've been a coward. But Elena's right. We've been stealing from our own family. Mom's scream could have shattered crystal. Walter. But the damage was done. Relatives were pulling out phones, recording everything. The reporter spoke rapidly into her device. Mrs. Patterson cornered Valerie about the money. Mr. Gonzalez was on the phone with someone official sounding. May tugged my dress. Mom, can we go now? One more thing, baby. I walked to where Mom stood frozen, Valerie beside her, both their worlds collapsing in real time. You were right about one thing, I said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Family doesn't escape. I pulled out the cease and desist orders, handing one to each of them. But sometimes, family survives despite you, and then they thrive. The cease and desist papers trembled in Valerie's hands as she read, her mouth opening and closing like a fish drowning in air. You can't, this isn't legal. Oh, it very much is. Marisol stepped forward from the crowd, having arrived precisely as planned. Destruction of property, fraud, harassment. Ms. Hart has grounds for both civil and criminal proceedings. Mom grabbed Valerie's arm. Don't say anything. We need a lawyer. Too late for that. I held up my phone, showing the recording app. Everything tonight has been documented. Every admission, every reaction. The sound of sirens cut through the night, distant but approaching. Several guests looked toward the street nervously. That would be the authorities, Mr. Gonzalez announced. Fraud involving children's education is taken seriously in Colorado. Valerie spun toward me, mascara streaming. I'm your Aunt Family doesn't. You're right. Family doesn't. But you were never family. You were a parasite wearing a relative's face. The projector still hummed. The final slide burning bright my scholarship letter, intact and valid. May's drawing of us holding hands beneath the words, "My mom is going to help other kids like me." Mom made one last attempt, her voice cracking. Elena, please, think of the family reputation. I said. I'm giving it the ending it deserves. Phones pinged across the yard, the scheduled email I'd sent to extended family, church members, Mom's book club, Dad's poker circle. Every piece of evidence, packaged with a simple subject line, the truth about the Hart Family Fund. The reporter approached Mom. Mrs. Hart, would you care to comment on the allegations of embezzlement? Mom's face went white. She turned to Dad, searching for support, but he was walking toward me, each step a small revolution. "I'm proud of you," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Should have said it years ago." "Should have done a lot of things years ago." Valerie tried to run, but Mrs. Patterson blocked her path. $600, now, or I press charges tonight. More parents circled, hands extended, voices demanding. The party had become a reckoning. May pulled my hand. "Mom, look." The string lights flickered. One of Valerie's dramatic gestures had knocked a connection loose, but instead of going dark, they sparked, sending shadows dancing across the yard like fleeing ghosts. In that stuttering light, I saw everything clearly. Mom aging 10 years in 10 seconds. Valerie surrounded by people she'd cheated. Dad finally standing tall, and May, my brilliant, brave daughter, watching it all with steady eyes. "Time to go, baby." We walked through the chaos, past crying relatives and shouting creditors, past the life I'd been forced to live in their shadow. At the gate, I turned back one last time. Mom stood alone. Valerie had fled to her car. Dad had retreated to his workshop. She looked small, ordinary, like the bitter woman she'd always been but could never admit. "The scholarship isn't just for me," I called to her. "It's for every dream you tried to kill, every woman you told to stay small, every child who watched their mother get torn down at a family dinner." Her mouth opened, perhaps to curse or beg. But Marcus had one more surprise. The speakers crackled. Then Valerie's recorded voice filled the night. She actually thought she'd escape us. Followed by Mom's response. "Family doesn't escape. They submit or suffer." I didn't wait to see her final collapse. May and I got in our ancient Honda, still running, still reliable, still ours, and drove away from the burning bridge of our past. My phone exploded with messages. Red River State congratulating me on my courage. Classmates from the program I'd secretly started online offering support. Even Evan, my ex, texting. "Saw the video. May deserves a mom who fights. Good for you." But the last message was the one that mattered, from a number I didn't recognize. "This is Janet from Sunspur. Valerie's been terminated. We're pressing charges. Your testimony would help. P.S. We have an opening for a real teacher with actual credentials. Interested." May fell asleep against my shoulder as I drove, clutching my hand like she'd never let go. In her other hand, an envelope, the one she'd hidden in her pocket all evening. "What's this, baby?" I asked at a red light. She stirred, smiled. "I wrote Grandma and Aunt Valerie a letter too, but I didn't give it to them. I opened it one-handed. In May's careful printing, people who break other people's dreams should have nightmares forever. My mom is going to help kids. What are you going to do? 8:47 p.m. The party would continue without us. Police statements, family implosions, the complete unraveling of the Hart dynasty. Tomorrow, the Boulder Ridge Gazette would run the story. The fund would be investigated. Valerie would face charges. But tonight, May and I were free. I pulled into our driveway, our little rental house glowing warm against the dark. Tomorrow, I'd start preparing for graduate school. Tonight, I'd help May with her homework and tuck her in with a story about women who refuse to stay small. "Mom," May asked as we walked inside, "did we win?" I thought of Valerie's face when the authorities arrived, Mom's empire crumbling, Dad finally choosing truth. But mostly, I thought of the acceptance letter, taped back together and legitimate, waiting on my desk. "No, baby, we didn't win." I kissed her forehead. "We survived, and then we thrived. That's so much better than winning." The door closed behind us, shutting out the Hart family forever. In 3 months, I'd walk across a stage in a cap and gown no one could tear. In 2 years, I'd have credentials no one could destroy. But tonight, in this moment, I had everything: my daughter, my future, and the knowledge that sometimes the best revenge isn't breaking the people who broke you. It's becoming everything they said you couldn't be, using the very pieces they tore apart to build something magnificent. Dreams over, I whispered to the night, thinking of Valerie's mocking words. No, the nightmare was over. The dream had just begun. Thank you so much for listening to this story of family betrayal and ultimate triumph. I'd love to know where in the world you're listening from. Drop a comment below and let's connect. If Elena's journey resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your thoughts. Have you ever had to stand up to toxic family members? How did you find your strength? Your stories inspire me to keep sharing these tales of resilience and revenge.